Welcome to 5 Day with Jay. I'm your host, J.R. Murdock. How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Hey, it's Friday. Hope everything's going well for you. I hope you're having a great evening. I didn't really have a five list for this evening, so I'm just going to wing it tonight and just kind of cover a few different topics. First topic, because you may or may not be interested in how I do these videos, I keep forgetting all the time just how sizable my screen is and how I leverage the real estate, and I really haven't been doing it right. I've been having OBS in one window, the streaming software. I'll have YouTube in another window so I can see in each window what the streaming is happening, and I don't know why I never put them one above the other. I guess I just didn't really think about it. So that way I could have another screen up that actually projects a little bit of light towards me. Again, yeah, I know I can move this back more into the corner, and that way the light will actually hit me instead of being in shadow. Little things like that. I'm still working on the setup. I know I still need to do that. I have a different tripod I can put the camera on. I do have a boom stand for the mic, so I can move the microphone closer. A lot of different things I can do. I just haven't done that yet. A lot of things I know I need to get to. Speaking of things I need to get to, I know I need to get to the website. I need to get the new books, new short stories all added. Hopefully, I'll have time this weekend to do that. I don't know. We shall find out. I want to make sure I get that done. I also need to take care of the rebranding of the V&A Universe stories so that all of them are in one series, prompting people to not only just read the first V&A shipping book or the first series, the V&A shipping series, or just the GRPC series, or just the Almost Superhero series, but to realize it's a bigger series. There's a lot more books to read in the entire universe. Kind of get people to understand what they're getting into and allow them to find and discover the other books. This is why I'm leaving it in Kindle Unlimited, because series normally do better in Kindle Unlimited. That said, so far for October, it's been a very flat month. As we know, last month we did a lot of giveaways. I want to say we gave away 70 books and sold 7. Might be a little bit different, but still, as I mentioned when I did a discussion about the giveaways, that's a much better sale percentage versus when I first started giving away V&A shipping, and I gave away nearly 700 copies, and in that same month sold 4 books. Obviously, I have a lot more material out. I have a lot more for people to go out and find and discover and check out, and they are. That's the good thing. So a little bump with those giveaways has helped, which I think will help. And I'm hoping people are holding off on buying anything in the V&A universe until I launch V&A Shipping 3 Rogue, because I will be doing a massive sale. Please hold off until, I believe it's December. I'll check the numbers. Massive sale going to happen. All of the books are going to be 99 cents except for V&A Shipping 3. I'll be doing a giveaway with V&A Shipping that will go free. All the other books 99 cents in the series except for book 3. I might even do book 3 at 99 cents. Just, go buy the whole collection. That way it's not costing you an arm and a leg. Under $10 for all, I believe it would be 8 books at that time. 2, 4, 7 books. I don't know, math. At any rate, another thing I've been having a good time with has been my binoculars. I've been having a great time with them because I have an attachment. My phone's not here. The attachment is for the phone, so that way the camera lines up with a little hole, and then that cups over the cap there. So I can have my phone here and I can take a picture using the binoculars. And I've taken a couple of pictures. First set was with the tree outside the window, with the phone with no zoom, phone fully zoomed, binoculars no zoom, binoculars well zoomed in. It was an interesting collection of pictures, but I did it today. As I mentioned, they cut down a whole bunch of trees and I can see the hill. And there's an interesting couple of trees over there as well that make a good shot. And I'm like, well, let's see if I can picture that crow way the heck over there. Sure enough, I got a picture of that crow way the heck over there. I took a picture with my cell phone, took a picture zoomed in all the way. You could just see the little black spot on the tree. As soon as I did it with the binoculars, you can definitely make out that it's a crow. And I was impressed. I thought it was great. I'm not a photographer. I'm having fun with this. I don't own a high quality camera or high quality lenses to take high quality images. If you follow me on any of the social medias, you'll realize that the picture quality isn't supreme. You can see the picture. It's a decent picture if you look at it on a small screen. As soon as you zoom in, it starts to get a little blurry. If I were to use a high quality camera, odds are I could fix that. I've tried taking pictures with the GoPro. The GoPro works good for closer pictures or a whole distant picture. You really can't zoom in on a specific object with the GoPro to take a picture. If you can, I haven't discovered this. If you know about GoPros, hey, let me know. I'd love to discover more about using the GoPro for taking pictures. I set it to take a 4K picture. You can zoom in really good. I maybe I just need to look at the pictures a little more and see maybe I can zoom in and crop better with the GoPro. I can't attach my binoculars to the GoPro, which I think would be absolutely fascinating. But hey, you know what? I have a lot of toys and I'm having fun with my toys. That's what I'm doing here. I'm still reading the Writers of the Future, number 37. A lot of really good authors in there. Some great stories. With any anthology, not every story is going to be for every reader. That's just the nature of an anthology. With this being science fiction and fantasy, there's a lot of mix in there. It's interesting to read these stories because the one story that I submitted was rejected on the first line. I feel it's a very strong story, but whoever was doing the judging, reading, editing, passing along what get you, they the response was on the first line of the story, and the first line was something to the effect of, "I don't know what drew me into the building." To me, that was kind of building up a little bit of mystery. Well, what did draw you into the building? The judge, I like people who know why they went into a building, rejected the story. I don't think they read past the first line. I honestly don't. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I realize they probably have 1,000 stories they need to get through. And if the first line doesn't grab them, out the door it goes. Completely understandable. I get it. I understand. I'm not complaining about being rejected. I'm honestly not. I feel I should write more stories and submit again because I do think I have a strong story when I write short stories. But then again, I think I'd rather just self publish them and let people go buy them and do it that way. Winning the Writers of the Future contest, it's a huge prize, and you also have a lot of people that start reaching out to you for, hey, send us a short story. We'd love to see a short story from you. It opens doors that you wouldn't have had before. It's one of those things to weigh the options on. I would love to start submitting short stories again to magazines, anthologies, collections, and see what happens. But again, I'd also like to start doing some publishing. When I finish VNA shipping, VNA shipping 3, GRPC 3, then I'm going to write Almost Superheroes 3. I'm probably going to take a break at that point from writing books and focus on writing a number of short stories. One of the things I've considered doing is a lot of the characters in my short stories, I enjoy the short stories that I've written and the tiny kernel of world I've created, and I want to expand on that. I would love to do a collection of Fat Sam and Tane the Wise. I think it was a clever story and a fun story. I believe they have other stories to tell. So I think it would be fun to write more in there so that I can release the short story independently, release my Murdockian Tales volume, which will have a collection of 9 short stories. But once I get a collection of, say, 9 or 10 Fat Sam and Tane the Wise short stories, I can do a collection of Fat Sam and Tane the Wise. So those that don't want to read all the other stories, that want to focus on, Fat Sam and Tane, away you go. You have that collection available. A lot of this comes from a lot of a lot of this comes from a lot of this comes from Dean Wesley Smith and his Magic Bakery, where he says you can write a short story, put it in a collection. When you have a bunch of them together, put them in another collection. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I don't know why I've been resistant to write short stories as a series of short stories versus writing books as a series of books. I have always focused on novels in a series. I've never really focused on short stories in a series. I want to take some time, a month or two, and just crank out as many short stories as I can and just start writing short stories again. I haven't written short stories in some time, and I love writing short stories. Anywhere between 3 to 15,000 words is a short story for me. It's fun. It's fun to do. It gets those creative juices flowing. Every little thing can create a story. A dream can create a story. I want to go back and rewrite a couple of short stories that I'd started that I didn't feel were that strong, that I believe I can do a lot better. I really think it would be fun to write in some of these worlds and just create a whole bunch of short stories in them and see what happens and just have fun with it. The final thing I wanted to talk about this evening, I've talked a lot about my stepbrother Doug when I was growing up. My stepmom, her family, a lot of those others. You might be wondering, hey, you've never really talked about your stepfather. I have to a small degree, but this will be the only time I talk about him, and I'll probably never talk about him again. That's something that's in my past. My stepfather was an abusive alcoholic. He abused physically my brother and I and my mom. But when we were out in public, he was a swell guy. He was the life of the party. He'd buy people drinks. He was always a wonderful person. We'd get home, he'd be pissed off about everything. He would throw things at us. He would smack us around. He would get pissed off if something wasn't done his way. It was not a good time in my life. He hid the abuse that he did to our mother from my brother and I. He hid the abuse that he did to my brother and I from my mother. So we were living in constant fear of this man for 7, 8 years. It was an awful situation. This is why I don't talk about him. I don't want him to have control of my life by thinking about him, by dwelling on him. I do think about my childhood. I didn't have a horrible childhood. I want you to understand that. This man, I have bad memories about. It's that simple. The rest of my childhood, I enjoyed. I enjoyed riding bikes. I enjoyed sledding. I enjoyed running track and cross country. My mother was the best mother she could possibly be until we moved out to live with my dad. And it was a completely different life when we went to go live with my dad. We, I don't want to say we were want of nothing because my grandmother took care of toys, gifts, presents for my brother and I. My mom did the best she could, which was limited. My dad would send, obviously, child support. He sent my brother and I a small allowance once we were older because he wanted to do something for us to be in our lives somehow. My stepdad, he would use my brother and I as essentially child labor. When I talked about my brother and I would cut wood and load up a truck, my stepdad would take that truck and sell it. He'd take that truckload of wood and go sell it. He would use that money to feed the family. We would go cut grass, mow lawns, and that money was split between putting money in the bank. We'd have a couple bucks for ourselves. The rest of my money went to my stepdad because we had bills to pay, and we needed to help pay our fair share, that type of thing. And it was never a two-way street with him. It was always, I'm going to do this. When he left my mother, he was the co-signer on my bank account and my brother's bank account, and he took everything. He took all of my mom's money, he took all of our money, and he left. All the money that my brother and I had spent years putting in the bank, mowing grass, shoveling snow, everything gone because of this man. That's why I won't talk about him much, if at all. Uh, it'll be a passing reference at best that I'll talk about him. Some of the things that he did were bad, really bad. Uh, I have tracked him down on Facebook. I know he's still around. And I think I just wanted that for closure, just to know, okay, he's nowhere near where I am. I do know that he still goes back to the town I grew up from, which is why I will likely never go back to that town, because the last thing I would want to is to bump into him. He wouldn't recognize me. He wouldn't know me from Adam. Period. I've changed significantly since he knew me. He knew me from the time I was probably 4 years old till 12. I mean, I'm definitely not the same person I was back then. At any rate, that's all I want to talk about. I don't want to give the man any more oxygen than he deserves, but I wanted listeners and viewers to understand what my background is growing up. And again, I've put that behind me. It's been behind me for years, but that's why I will not talk about that individual. I just wanted to reference it once and be done with it. I feel it's something that I've always needed to bring up and just discuss. These things happen. It's some people recover from it, some people never recover from it. Some people, it affects them for the rest of their life in different ways. The best thing to do is talk about it with somebody that you're close to. My wife and I have had long conversations about my childhood and growing up and what I went through as a kid. And I'm not even going to get into any details on this video about what happened. Just suffice to say, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good situation with him. That's all. That's all I want to say about that. I didn't mean to end this on a down note. Again, this was kind of a free form, just talk about a few different topics. So, small roller coaster, my apologies. It is Friday. I'm going to go find myself a cerveza and kick back and relax. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We will drop some blog posts. I'll probably drop some pictures and show kind of what I'm doing and what I'm having fun with with the binoculars, with the camera, my cell phone, as simple as it is. It'll be fun. At any rate, it's going to be a good weekend. I know it's going to be a good weekend. Got lots of plans. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been 5 A Day with Jay. You've been awesome.